Arab Spring shifted and U.S. imperialism was able to take advantage of basically what was a spontaneous and leaderless movement, and thus a movement that could be manipulated, the U.S. entered the fray both in Syria and in Libya to carry out, and using the issue of freedom and democracy in the Arab world as a pretext, a long-standing goal of U.S. foreign policy, which was to topple independent regimes in Syria and Libya. And you don't have to love Muammar Gaddafi or Assad to recognize that the U.S. was targeting these governments not because they were anti-democratic, not because the U.S. loved human rights, but because the U.S. wanted to topple governments that had any connection to the post-World War II anti-colonial project. I mean, Syria, Iraq, Libya, I mean, the whole pan-Arab revolutionary phenomena, which went through different stages and phases, that was a consequence of an anti-colonial revolutionary wave that swept the Middle East, and it pushed U.S. imperialism back. When the Green Revolution took place in Libya and Wheeler Air Base was seized and Gaddafi and the Libyans took power, the U.S. went to war against Gaddafi. They tried to kill Gaddafi during the Reagan period. The U.S. bombed downtown Tripoli. The bombing killed Gaddafi's 2-year-old daughter. Didn't kill him, but killed lots of civilians. Yeah. And you could see the U.S. has always wanted to target Iraq. Yes, it collaborated with Saddam at times, just like it collaborated with the Assad government at times, just like it collaborated with Gaddafi sometimes. And yet, when possible, if there was an opportunity to overthrow these governments and create what the U.S. hoped would be colonial puppet governments like the good old colonial days, that was the organic tendency of U.S. foreign policy. So there was this struggle for freedom and democracy in Tunisia and in Egypt, and then the U.S. turns it and takes advantage of it to support counter-revolutionary forces in Syria and in Libya. And Gaddafi, remember, Gaddafi said, if you succeed in overthrowing me, you're going to have Al-Qaeda here in Libya. And that was considered by the Western media to just be BS, just to be like Gaddafi's rhetorical flourish. But he was right. And the same is true in the Assad government, in the case of Syria. I mean, if Assad had been crushed and defeated as the U.S. and the Obama administration determined, what would we have? We'd have an Al-Qaeda or an Al-Qaeda type government in Damascus. I mean, the impact would be profound for the people in Syria and the people regionally. And we had a split in the U.S. anti-war movement. I mean, the groups that I still work with, I won't mention some of their names, but everybody knows them. Some of them said to the Answer Coalition and to me personally, we can't work with you anymore because we're standing with the Syrian revolution against Assad, or we're standing with the Libyan revolution against Gaddafi. And I was like, these are not revolutions. These are counter-revolutions. Like every counter-revolutions don't announce themselves as counter-revolutions. They announce themselves as revolutions because it's something hopeful, something new, something better. They don't say we're going backwards. They're saying we're going forward. So there's no counter-revolution that announces itself as a counter-revolution. It's just a new revolution. But if you have a new revolution supported by the CIA, supported by the Erdogan regime in Turkey, supported by the Saudis, I mean, all of these ultra-reactionary forces are somehow supporting revolutionaries. And at the same time, you have big parts of the U.S. left on the same side.